So finishing up reviewing the Forestry mod, I'd recommend watching part 1 if you haven't, because it goes over all this previous stuff. But to start off, we're going to go over some machines. Now, not only machines, but some other things require RF, which is electricity in this game. Now, we got 3 types of engines. We got the peat-fired engine, the biogas engine, and the clockwork engine. Now, I already went over the peat-fired engine. All you do is put peat in it and apply a redstone signal. Super easy. Then we've got the biogas engine and the clockwork engine. To use the biogas engine, all you have to do is fill it up with lava and biomass, and as you can see, they go in their respective tanks. Apply a redstone signal to the machine, and then once this red bar fills up and places biomass in here, it will start outputting RF. As you can see, it's 0, and now there it goes to 50. Next, we've got the clockwork engine, and now this one is very simple. All you do is hold down right click and you'll wind the engine up. And now, of course, you can't really automate this because, well, you got to be here winding it up. Once it reaches red, it's going to output its max amount of RF into the machine, and then, as you can see in a second, it's going to change colors as it starts unwinding. There you can see, it just went to orange instead of red. And now, as it continues to unwind, it will decrease its amount of electricity that is being outputted into the machine. Next, we've got 3 more machines or devices. We've got the analyzer, the rainmaker, and the thermonic fabricator. So first we've got the analyzer. Now this is the exact same as the portable analyzer that I went over in the last video, except it's in a stationary version. All you have to do is place some type of queen in here, and then some type of honey. You can do a can, a bucket, whatever. You can see that this starts filling up. Now once this goes all the way to the top, then it will analyze this queen and tell you everything about it. Next, we've got the rainmaker. Now all you have to do is place an iodized capsule, right click it, and then it'll start moving, and you can see this bar is already filling up. Once it goes all the way to the top, then it'll produce rain and water your crops. Finally, we have the thermonic fabricator. Now that kind of looks like a cool crafting table here. Now how this works is I'm going to go ahead and start making this recipe. And now as you can see, it is not using the items when I'm clicking in there. I just have to have the items and make this recipe, or you could use the Just Enough Items mod to help you find all your different recipes. Now this will actually produce what I'm wanting it to when I place these items down here. And now all these different items require some type of liquid glass. You can use sand, all that different stuff. But now you can see it is making this recipe, use the items in this little inventory here, and now I have birchwood planks which are fireproof. And that is one of the many uses that this machine has. So I got this forest queen here, and this came from the analyzer, and now it tells me, since it's been analyzed, that it's a shorter life, it's the slowest worker, and the temperature and humidity are normal, and what it wants, which is flowers. Next we have the I don't really care how you pronounce this machine, and now this is a pretty interesting machine. It's a way that you can unlock and discover different types of genes and mutations, and now when you place some type of queen in the center, it's like playing a game of match, to where if I click this, I now have to guess which one of these are a tropical drone, and you can see I didn't, it's got a heroic drone, and then you've got to keep resetting that, and so eventually you're probably going to get a match. As you can see, you just got to sit here and spend a little time. There we go, got a match right there, heroic drones. Now I have to get a match of another 2 set of bees, so let's guess down, nope, so I got to restart. And as you can see, when you fail, you can't just like continue clicking these things, it locks it, so you have to take it out and then try again. There we go, got the second, which means the third there. And then it gives you rewards, it gives you mutations that you've discovered, and you can read this note, and then it gives you some honeycomb. And so then you can take the queen out, and you can continue to do this, or do this with different types of queens. But as you can see, it can take a while. So I got this note right here, and it says you use this note in your hand to gain its knowledge. It says the mutation discovered for forest and modest. Chance for success is higher, new species is discovered, common. So all you have to do is right click it, and you'll gain that knowledge. So next we got these 7 machines here. We got the carpenter, the bottler, the centrifuge, the moistener, the fermenter, the squeezer, and the still. So first we have the carpenter, and now this works the same as the thermonic fabricator in that all you have to do is place a recipe in here like such, and then you're going to have to place the items there in the center. And so once you do this, and if you ever wonder like, oh, how do I change the recipe, all you have to do is click it and it goes away, and then you can place whatever item you want in there. And now this one takes a little bit of water, which will then go into this tank right here. As you can see, boom, since it has the RF, it is immediately generating this enhanced circuit board. And now once this bar fills up, then this board will come out into this section for me to take, and it used up the items in the inventory. Next we have the bottler, and now this is unbelievably simple. This just basically takes any type of fluid and puts it from one canister into another. Whether you want to change it, put it from one of these cans into a bucket, if you want to store it, whatever. So I place lava in here, and you see that goes through the process and places it in here. Then all you have to do is take whatever you want over in this section, and it'll fill it up, place it in there, and now it has transferred the fluids. It is that simple, and it's used for all different types of fluids. Next, we have the centrifuge, and now this is unbelievably simple. All you have to do is place any type of honeycomb in here, and it'll start processing it. And you've got all the different types of honeycombs that I went over in the last part, and then it'll give you just basically rewards and different items for each different honeycomb that you get. And so you can see it goes into this slot right here as it like double processes it. Now once this completes, it will then give you those rewards for the particular honeycomb that you put in here, as you're going to see in just a second. So there we go. The first reward coming out of the honeycomb is a honey drop. This is used in a bunch of different crafting recipes. There we go. Now we have both a honey drop and a bee's axe that we got from that honeycomb. And as you can see, it has consumed the honeycomb. So pardon the animals roaming around on this hill, and that's a little bit darker, but we have to be in the dark in order for this machine of the moistener to work. And now how this works is you're going to take any type of moldy wheat, place it in there, and then you're going to fill it up with water. And now, in order for it to not only run this main little system here, but also to do a side project, you have to place something over here. And now you can place seeds, leaves, stone bricks, cobblestone, that type of stuff, because it's running this cycle and it's going to turn moldy wheat into decaying wheat, and then that's eventually going to turn into mulch. But then once this arrow fills here, these seeds will be turned into mycelium. Or you got leaves that can be turned into podzol, these stone bricks can be turned into the mossy stone bricks, that type of stuff. It basically decays things and turns things moldy. And so once this guy comes all the way through here and this is completed, then it's going to start going through again and turning this decaying wheat into mulch, which is used in a bunch of different recipes, and it's also kind of like fertilizer. So there we go. It's now processing the decaying wheat, and we have mulch as a product that we can take out and then use. And once this arrow completes, then of course I'm going to get the mycelium that's going to show up there, and you can take that and use that, or any of the other products that you can see right here. We got the stone bricks, the mossy stone bricks, or whatever. So next we have the fermenter, and now this basically takes one of these three items of fertilizer, compost, or mulch, combined with some liquid and some other item in this section to then make some new type of liquid, which you can then see you can eject into a bucket or a can and take it out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and place some mulch in here, and then some sugar cane, and then fill some water up on the side. And then this process will start. You can see it's already started making biomass, and it's going to do that for all the sugar cane I have in there. I only had one in there, so as you can see, I only get 50. But it'll repeat that process the more you have in there. And then there are a bunch of different variables. Like if you use a different fluid over here, you can get more biomass over here. And there's a bunch of different fluids you can use. This is why I recommend just using the Just Enough Items mod. As you can see how many different recipes there are. 118 pages. Next we have the squeezer, and as the name implies, it simply will squeeze fluids out of certain items you put in here. So you can see I can put an apple in here, and it will complete this thing. And now we have some fruit juice over here that we can then extract and put in whatever type of bucket or can that we want. Now with an apple, and it changes for every item you put in here, but with an apple there's a 20% chance you'll get a piece of mulch that shows up right there. And so, you know, as I said before, there are so many different recipes and so many different things. Just get the Just Enough Items mod to see what you can do to make certain fluids. And now finally we have the still, and now all this thing does is simply takes biomass and turns it into ethanol, and that is it. As you can see, it is the only crafting recipe here. And so once it fills up, you can place a big stack of that stuff in there, and then as it processes it, you'll have ethanol over here, which then you can place a can up here, and then it'll start taking that out, filling it up, and then you'll get a full can of ethanol down there. So before I go over these buildings, which are these two big things right here, I'm just going to quickly go over some misc items that we got in here. Starting off with three chests. We got the Aperus chest, we got the Lepidopterus chest, and the Arborist chests. Now the Aperus chest will do anything relating bees, Lepidopterus will contain anything relating butterflies, and then the Arborist will contain anything that's relating trees and plants. Now if you go ahead and place stuff in there, it'll tell you species you have, out of how many, and you can place them all over there in different pages as well. Next we got a honeyed slice, and now this is just a source of food that's added in your world. We got a rain tank, and now this tank will fill up with rain whenever it's raining, then you can take water out of it. That's all it does. There's no power to it or anything. Next we got a block of charcoal, bog earth, and humus. Now a block of charcoal, it is just, well, a block of charcoal. It basically, this mod allows you to actually craft a block of charcoal, which you can't do in normal Minecraft. Bog earth is how you get peat. All you have to do is place it within 2 blocks horizontally of a water source, and a single water source will slowly turn this block into peat in a 5x5 square around it. Next we have humus, and all you have to do is plant stuff on top of it because it is like rich soil and it does not take water in order to grow crops. Next we have the soldering iron, and now this allows you to solder electronic circuit boards with electron tubes together. And now all you have to do is have them in your inventory, right click on the soldering iron, and now you place your circuit board up here. And now this particular one, the dynamite electronic tube, the hold shift, it will change this circuit board to program farms for cocoa plantations. So all I have to do is place it in here, and as you can see, it has now completed that. Now if you come over to some farm, and I've got this one right here, now this is a tree farm. But if you come over to this farm here, if I was to go ahead and place this in this slot right here, you can see it's now going to start planting cocoa stuff if it was all set up and all that stuff, and if I chop down all these trees. So any slot that you see that type of stuff, you can place a circuit board in there to do some type of automated function, and of course it changes depending on the machine and all that stuff. Next, I've got a wrench, and now all you have to do is use it, and it will allow you to rotate blocks. As you can see, I'm rotating that piece of wood right there. Very, very simple. Next, we have a pipette, and now this is basically just a really small container for holding fluids. If you ever have a little bit left in a machine that you want to get rid of or something, then all you do is place it in there, and it'll extract it, and then you can, of course, place it back, maneuver it around, or use it however you would a bucket or a can in any other type of machine. Next, we have the genetic filter and a database, and now this is pretty freaking complex. So if I go ahead and set this down, all you have to do is right-click on it, and how this works is you've got 6 different channels here, and now if you have queens or anything coming through this, it will have different filters, and it will block certain things from traveling through this. So as you can see, if I select a filter here, I can choose any bees, butterflies, caterpillars, cave dwellers, whatever I want. And then I believe that these 1s and 0s have to do with inactive and active parts of the species. I'm not entirely sure, but this piece of machinery is not essential in the slightest bit. This is just kind of a very complex way of organizing things, except, unless you get a freaking massive operation, you're not going to need something like this. You can simply get a chest and put your queens in there like I do, or put it in a greenhouse, which I'll get to in a second. But then you also have the database. Now this is very simple. All you do is place certain things in here, and it'll, hold it. That's what a database is for, and it'll tell you different types of genes and stuff. You can search it up there at the top, and it's just a big storage. So finally, we have a system of mail that is added into your world. We have a mailbox, a trade station, and a stamp collector. And you've got all these different stamps here. And now this stamp collector cannot be made. It can only be found in creative mode. Same with these last 3 stamps right here. And so it's, if you have a server or something, you want to run a little bit bigger operation, these stamps, obviously, as they are in real life, pay for mail. And so, if you want a little bit more expensive stamps, then you have to get those in creative mode. So just very quickly, the stamp collector, all you do is when you place it down, it will give you a whole list and access to all the stamps that have been used in your world or on your server. And then you can just, take them out and then use them. So you can see it's pretty overpowered. That's why it's not in, survival mode. Otherwise, you just craft one of these things, then you get unlimited stamps. So in order to get this mailbox or this trade station to work, all you have to do is send some type of mail, which is in the form of letters. So as you can see, I'm sending this to myself, and so I've typed my name in there. And now you can also send this to a trade station, and you're going to have to type the name of the trade station in there. Now I'm simply saying hi. I don't have any items in this inventory that you can send to people. So all I need is a very basic stamp. We use just one end. That's all you need to be able to send text. And so if I come over to mailbox and right click, you can see I've now received mail. So if I go to my mailbox, I now have a letter that I can take, I can rip open, and I can read. You can see it's changed down here and it's ripped open. Now you can place these together in order to then get some paper. But as you can see, the Pumpkin King has now said hi. And if you're wondering why my name is that, if you've ever played on MindPixel and the Halloween event that goes on, which unfortunately they got rid of because it was a really old one, but when you had to kill the Pumpkin King, that's why my name is that. In case any of you are wondering, but whatever. But in order to get this trade station to work, you're going to have to name it. I'm just going to name mine Hi, because make it very simple. And now this looks pretty complex, but it's actually very simple. All you have to do is place stamps up here. You can place stacks in here. And then you're going to have to place paper down here. Now, what you're basically saying is that I'm wanting to receive this, and I'll send you this. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to send you a piece of stone, and I'm going to receive all these different things right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a letter to that trade station. So I'm going to type in the name there. As you can see, it's going to say, please send this for every one of these attached. So I'm going to go ahead and put all this stuff in here and make it attached, and then put a stone there. And now I'm going to place just a more expensive stamp on here. As you can see, it's now paid off so that I can send this to the trade station. And now since this is good to go, I'm simply going to click on a mailbox. And as you can see, the trade station symbol has now gone up. If I come in here, you can see it has sent a stone out, and I have now received all these things. So if I come over to my mailbox, I'll now have a letter. I'll be able to receive this, and now it's one order from the Pumpkin King was filled. And so it's just a way of trading things, as the name implies, it's a trade station, but that is pretty much it. So you can use these, of course, with the people and have a nice trade mail system going. I think it's pretty cool. You also have a catalog, and now this book, it basically will show all the trade stations that are available. So it'll show the name of the trade station, who's trading it, and then what he'll trade and what he'll for, and that it is available. You can do this online, offline, or whatever. And then, of course, you'll have a big page of every single trade station that is in the world. mailed. And mailboxes, if you're wondering if someone can come up and just take your mail, they can't, and because you can make these things private so no one else can break into them. As you can see, I've got my stone here from my trade station that I just did my trade with. So the last things I'm going over are these two buildings right here. The first we have the greenhouse, then we have the aviary. And now the greenhouse, as a greenhouse is in real life, it allows you to control the environment for the bees or plants or whatever that you have in there so that they're happy. Because some bees don't want to be in a very hot environment, so you can then make it cold in there or whatever else you're wanting to do. Then the aviary is just basically a much larger version of the bee house, as you can see right here. And then you also have the apiary, as I went over in the last video. So to make the greenhouse, all you're going to do is take these greenhouse blocks and take one greenhouse energy distributor. All these other things, you can see heater, fan, are for changing the temperature or the humidity. And so all you have to do is place it in a 3x3, which is 2 blocks high. You can see I've got the distributor right there. I've got another thing right here which gives me a little more detail. And then I've got the heaters and the dehumidifiers and whatever on the sides for me to control this area in here. And now this can go up to be, I believe, 11 blocks high for the ceiling, and you can make the walls as big as you want. And so it will then start changing the air that's inside there. And as you can see, when I right click, it tells me that the temperature in here is 1.0 and the humidity is 0.4. It tells you the things that modify it, and it shows you like different environments and what they have just for a starting point. And now those windows, that's one of the modifiers, and you can place these in the side, and you can open these up if you're wanting to increase the temperature or change the humidity depending on the biome you're in. And then you also have camouflage. Now this is very cool. You can take any type of block. Let's say I want some cobblestone. And now this block right here, if I go ahead and place this, as you can see, we have a camouflage slot right here, and we have a multiple block camouflage slot. If I place this here, you'll see that it has now changed that block to cobblestone, but if I place it here, it will change the whole thing to cobblestone. So you can get this to blend in, you can make it grass or whatever. It's actually very cool. And also you have that spray. And now this spray is, the exact same thing, except it allows you to put it on the outside. So if I go ahead and right click on this spray, you'll see that I can place brick in here, and then it now has spray, and it shows it's going to spray some bricks. So I've got 2 blocks right here which are able to be camouflaged, and so if I right click on them, you can see that I've now turned them into bricks. And you can change them to whatever you want. You can change them to grass, you can change them to wood, logs, it doesn't matter. You can camouflage this stuff, and I think that's pretty cool. That's kind of it for the greenhouse, because all you have to do is basically get these numbers to match and change them and all that stuff with modifiers depending on what type of bees you're putting in here. Because as I showed you before with the bee that I analyzed, it says that, it's normal with the temperature and humidity, which would be a plains. But of course, if you get a wintry bee, you're going to want to make it cold in here, and I could easily drop the temperature by going 0.02. And now the temperature is going to be colder in there. Now, of course, you can't feel it, but the bees will definitely feel it. Then we have this aviary over here. And now all you need is a queen to get it started. And so once you do is you place it in there. And now just like the apiary here and the bee house here, all you have to do is wait. And because the bees will start swarming around here, you can see they're already taken off in all different directions. And so this will eventually produce honeycomb in the middle for you to take. But then also once this bee or this queen eventually dies, which is this bar right here, you'll get a princess and 1 to 4 drones. And now you have to mate those by placing a princess here and a drone here. And that's where mutations can occur. You can also do these in these houses here, but these are way smaller. As you can see, bees are flying everywhere. And so all you have to do is place them in there. They will mate by themselves, and that's where mutations can occur, where, if it's got a genetic of a slow worker, or, it's tireless or works at night, whatever, it has a chance of mutating. Or you can also then use different knowledge and information you gained from that wooden table where you play the matching game. So you can see not too long, it's already produced a honeycomb because, well, this thing is very massive. So to make the aviary, very simple. All you do is make a 3x3 block of these aviary blocks right here, and then place some wooden slabs on the top. And now you've got your different controls that you just place on the bottom, and you can access each one of them individually if you want to. So finally, if you have any questions on any of this stuff here and how it works, then all you have to do is use this Forester's manual. Now this gives you a detailed description of everything. As you can see in the core, it goes over all of these different items. You've got the mail, then you've got beekeeping, it tells you get the most out of your aviary, all this type of stuff. And now if this book does not give you the answer, then you can use a link to a wiki down below in the description, and hopefully that will give you the answer to your question. And then finally, if neither of those do, then you can leave a comment, and hopefully I or someone else will get back to you answering your question. Now that you've reached the end of the video, you've probably heard this a bunch of times before, but it typically goes along the lines of like, hey, if you liked it, then please consider subscribing. And I personally approve this message because of That's pretty much it for the forestry mod. And now there are a couple other things like butterflies, except I haven't seen anything online, nor is it in the manual itself on how they work and how to, use them at all or capture them. And so it might just be a work in progress thing. Hopefully it comes out soon then. But for right now, it just doesn't really seem like you can do anything with them. And as I already said before, if you have any type of questions, you can use the forestry manual, the wiki link, or you can just comment down below and hopefully I or someone else will get back to you responding to your comment. But that's pretty much it. And I'll see you all in the next video. High five.